Hey everybody, this is Perch. This mail says it's time sensitive and no Arby's references. Okay, I don't know. I don't know about the Arby's references. Anyway, it's from January, which gives you a sense of just how quickly I answer my emails. So time sensitive, we're screwed, but that's okay. We're gonna still get there. It says, Perch. I randomly saw a new Wolverine Madripoor Nights comic written by Chris Claremont. What is this? Why is nobody talking about it? Is this something to get excited about? Why doesn't he write something less random with a little more excitement behind it? In recent months, people have been saying bring back the legendary creators to get some buzz for comics, but in this case, nobody is talking about it. Well, obviously it's I got this mail late. The book is coming. Uh, the simple reason why nobody's excited about Chris Claremont doing kind of a one-off comic is because it's a one-off comic, and he's done several of them. There's been over the last, 2-3 years, Chris Claremont has come and done a handful of stuff. And for that matter, if you go further back, when he was kind of unceremoniously left the X-Men, left in quotes there. Thank you, Bob Harris. And you have then he came back and he did a run, but then he did all these kind of little one-off things. It was like he was being pushed to the side, and it did it broke the talent. I mean, one of Chris Claremont's gifts was that he wrote in these long narratives that had subplots and stories and fed into stories and all this kind of stuff. And you take that away and you're like, here, do a 4-issue limited series. It can be a good written comic, but it's not going to move the earth, and everybody knows that. And Marvel's well established that these limited series, and but this is not a new thing, by the way. You can go back to the '90s, and I was looking through a bunch of the X-Men limited series recently. There's tons. I mean, more than now. During the '90s, there was an attempt to have all kinds of stuff. And it was wild looking at stuff like Gambit in his own series, Iceman in a limited series, Nightcrawler in a limited series, Sabretooth and Mystique in a limited series. There's another, and they just kind of vomited them out. And none of them mattered in the grand scheme of things to the big story. They would have an adventure, but it was self-contained. If you read it, and in many cases they had, good art, it's kind of amazing to see some of kind of today's top artists getting their start on books like this. But none of them are referenced. The villains or the characters inside, or, whoever the hero is going into it, it's the hero coming out of it. Pretty unchanged. Storm had a series. Didn't inherently matter. It's like, ooh, Storm goes back to Africa. Oh, some shit's going down there. Oh, she's got to be inspiring. And that's it. I mean, nothing that gives us anything new. And so Chris Claremont coming in to do Wolverine Madripoor Nights, I'm sure it'll be a well-written story, and I'm sure it will, give good nostalgic feels to kind of, Claremont comics in the past, but it won't matter. Kind of like Peter David doing these books, and I think he's done some limited series lately for the Hulk and for Spider-Man. I think, did he do Spider-Man? He did the Hulk. But they were great. Ron Mars doing the Silver Surfer stuff. It's great reading. They're good, solid stories. They do not matter in the context of what's going on today. And maybe that's, the other problem that Marvel in particular has, and DC has as well, is that, even the mainline books don't terribly matter. Jason Aaron did this big run with the multiversal Masters of Evil. If you go back and you read comics in the 80s and the 90s, one of the things it does is it references the other books. It references the limited series, but more than so, it references previous runs. Even if it's a panel of the character going, hey, you remember that time we fought the, Psycho Master of the Year? And it helps. And then there's a little note at the bottom going, this happened way back in issue 280. You don't see any of that now. That's gone. And I asked an editor about this, hey, what happened to the footnotes? You rarely see them anymore in comics. And the answer was, well, we found that those are annoying to readers. The readers get frustrated because they have to go back and look at those comics, and it's more of a barrier, an obstacle. People don't like them. True answer. And it's the shame of it is that's a lot of what comics is, and certainly that helps retailers sell back issues. It helps new publishers actually gain interest in a comic over a long period of time. You set things up of, hey, this is a story that references itself. It was a great tool for writers to be able to, put something in a book and leverage some of those old plots, old characters. And so Chris Claremont coming out to do a book, I mean, problem number one, he has been, and none of the output has been particularly stunning from a pure will this matter to a title perspective. And two, it's just in general, I don't think readers are excited about throwing a bone to a creator like Claremont or Nascenti or Simonson. They're all out there. They're all writing. And as we've seen from their limited series, Mars, David, they could still write a damn good book. Why wouldn't you put Ron Mars on an ongoing Silver Surfer book at this point? Why not? What do you got to lose? A book is going to sell at least 25,000 copies. Would you rather just have a bunch of limited series selling 25,000 copies? Like, why not? Why not put Claremont on one of the X books? If old Brevoort's having trouble finding people to write X-Men books right now, and, we're down to kind of no-name people, David Pepos, Gail Simone. If we're there, I'm sure Stephanie Phillips would take some more work. Why not? Why not say, hey, Louise, Wheezy, we'd like to have you be the writer for X Factor. And, it's an ongoing series. We're going to be in it for at least 2 years. We'll give you a rotation of some decent artists. Why not? Won't cost you more. It does cost you more. We're talking, I always do this with people. I was sitting down once, like, well, some of the older time creators demand $100 a page, and they can get comics made for $75 a page. I'm like, okay, let me do some math for you there. That's a $25 difference. $25 difference. In a 22-page comic, okay, it's $550. You're going to have to pay $550 more to a veteran writer rather than a new writer. You do not have $550. Really? Working for Disney, you don't have $550. Oh, but it's not $550. It's, for the full year, that would be more. That would be over $6,000 for the year. $6,000. All right, so here's my proposal. Marvel, set up a GoFundMe called "We Need to Pay $6,000 to get Louise Simonson on a book for a year," and raise money. I'll bet you can get $6,000. I'll do you one better. The Perch channel makes more than $6,000 a year. I've been donating that money to comic shops, Boys Girls Club. That's where all the money has gone. However, I will stop doing that, and I will give that money so you can pay for Louise Simonson. How's that, Marvel? I will write you a check, $6,000, to afford Louise Simonson. I'll do you one better. I'll write you 2 checks. We put Louise Simonson on one, and put Claremont on an X book, ongoing, not a limited series. And you could have 2 checks. Claremont's tougher because he's got that baked-in deal. So who knows how much I'm signing up for there? But again, you're watching people put in crowdfunding, 35, 50, 75, 100, sometimes $1 million into shit. No offense. Sorry, that came out wrong. But when I say shit, what I mean is people buying up for perks like a t-shirt or toys. Things that are not even the comic book, right? They want the comic book, but they're buying more for a toy tier. So why, how about this? How about there's a tier for all the crowdfunders, all the people out there. And that tier could be for an extra $25, we'll send you the comic, and then we'll send the extra money to Marvel so they can afford Louise Simonson. Why not? I feel like I want to do like a Roger and me style, bit where I'm going to get in my car and I'm going to drive. I'm going to film like a documentary and see my face. And I'm going to drive to the Marvel office with a briefcase full of $6,000 to afford Louise Simonson. And I'm going to try and give them for a year. And I'm going to try and give them the money. Like, here, this is you're falling on hard times. Here's a charity for you, Marvel Comics, to afford Louise Simonson so you get a goddamn good year-long extra. And I almost want to film. This is all absurd. I know what I'm saying. But anyway, this is why there's not excitement, because, by the way, everything I just said is made foolish by the fact that they are paying Louise Simonson and Claremont money. They're paying them. They're just paying them to do, a 4-issue limited series. Why? Just put them on an ongoing. If you put them on an ongoing and you give them something to actually cook and do, then, chances are you would get that excitement. Truth. Anyway, what do you think? Let me know in the comments below. Thanks for listening.